Scene one, and there we are.
We are live.
I think we are. Check here in just a minute. I don't have enough room for stuff here. We're still trying to get things set up with our new setup. Whatever. And there we are. All right. You can. Okay.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Betty. And together we are the pastors too. He's got me started doing that. How did that happen? Anyway, we're still trying to figure, and our screen so that we can see what's what is mirrored, and so anyway, I don't know.
We decided not to
It's
fight
terrible.
the flies today.
Yeah, we didn't want to fight the flies anymore, or the heat.
Right.
So, notice I've got a sweater on. Yeah, it's a little cool in the house. I got something that keeps popping up in my way here. Okay, so anyhow, let's see.
I'm Mark.
No, you already said that.
Okay.
We have a fun episode, I think, tonight. I think maybe it's going to be a little bit more interesting than some of the past ones. If I can figure out what I'm doing here. Still getting used to things, when you haven't been doing it for a while and then you go back to it, especially when you've got ADHD, sometimes you forget things. You forget how to do things. So I was scrambling today trying to figure out how to do some things that we wanted to do tonight. We've got a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation sort of thing, whatever. Some notes, okay? And anyway, but before we get into all of that, if you're new here, or even if you're not, if you're just returning, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And be sure and let us know in the chat that you're here and where you're watching from. Let's see, like, subscribe. Oh yeah, and share. Share this video. That really helps with the algorithms. YouTube pays attention to all this stuff. They look at how many people have liked it, how many people have watched, and then they also look at the subscriptions and the number of shares. And the more that you all do that, the more the word's going to get out to other people that we're here and that we're doing this. And hopefully they come and watch us make fools of ourselves too.
I'm watching from Oklahoma City.
Well, so am I. Imagine that.
Home of the new NBA World Champions, Oklahoma City Thunder. Anyway.
He had to get that in.
Had to get that in there.
Yep.
It was a good series.
Okay, so tonight we are talking about Esau. Are we ready to get started with that?
Oh, yeah.
Are we? Okay.
I think we're ready.
Are you sure? I'm never sure if I'm ready or not.
Who was Esau?
Who is Esau? Esau was Isaac's son.
Who was Isaac?
Oh, don't. A Bible character, okay?
Okay.
And he had two sons, and they were twins. They had to be fraternal twins because they didn't look anything alike. And his wife was Rebecca, and he and Rebecca had these two boys that were twins, and they were even fighting before they were born. They came out fighting.
It's Jacob and Esau.
Jacob and Esau. But tonight we're going to talk about Esau. Now, Jacob's a whole nother story. I don't know what you say about him. But Esau is one that we see several traits in that could indicate that he had ADHD. We never know, I mean, like we've said before, we cannot diagnose. We can't diagnose biblical characters. As a coach, I cannot diagnose anyone. I am not authorized to diagnose. Now, I can pick up on traits, and I will often ask if someone has not said that they have ADHD. I will often ask if they've ever been assessed. And so far, I have not had anyone tell me that they've been assessed and were not ADHD. So usually it's, when I was a kid, I probably, would have been labeled as ADHD. I don't like to use that term, label. But anyway, I probably would have been diagnosed as ADHD as a kid, if, because of how I acted and everything. But they didn't, do that much about it back then. And I've had others that have had informal assessments, and they're not formally diagnosed. So it's just,
But you're good at picking up on things
but
like that.
I do pick up on things like that. And then there's the confusion between ADD and ADHD. And according to the current DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual.
What's that yellow that just showed up?
I don't know, but maybe we better look. YouTube is not... What? Are we still live? Check.
Does that say responding? I don't know. Let me look here.
Hang on, everybody.
I had to hit the play button again.
Yeah. Like button and subscribe to the channel. Get it all the way to me. No, but maybe we better look. YouTube is not... It's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming.
Does that say responding? I don't know. Let me look here.
Well, hang on, everybody.
I had to hit the play button.
As such, viewers will experience... Hang on, we got a little technical glitch here.
Technical difficulties.
We'll experience buffering. Okay, you're gonna...
Okay, I'll go.
You're going to have feedback here.
Okay.
Okay, so there may be some buffering going on. I'm not sure why. I think we may need to... I don't want to really... Okay, if it turns out not to be good, we do have a backup video going, so we can re-upload it if we need to.
Yeah.
But...
No, I don't want to take spam callers.
Okay, so we'll just go on, and hopefully it won't be buffering too badly. I don't know. It's something that we're going to have to check into and see what's what with it. So,
Okay, so we were talking about Jacob.
But we will have
Esau.
a recording. Yeah, so Jacob and Esau.
They were fighting inside and out.
Inside and out, yeah, okay. Well, anyway, and so there was a lot of competition between those two, but Esau exhibited more traits of ADHD. And so, I know what I was saying. I was saying we couldn't diagnose. Because
Right.
even as a coach, I can't diagnose.
Right.
But I can recommend that somebody get an assessment and get an official diagnosis or whatever, if they want. It's not a hard and fast thing to get coaching unless unless you've got a diagnosis. That just, it doesn't matter, So anyway, but if you, if you want to contact me for coaching, the link is down in the description box, and you can go there and go to my website, and there's a little button there, and you can schedule an appointment with me. And the initial appointment is complimentary. That means it's free. So come on over.
Free?
Okay, so let's get started talking about Esau and these traits that we see in him. We're going to run out of time if we don't get started with this. And we've got some scripture references. We'll give them to you, but we're not going to read them. We're going to give you a summary of them tonight. Those are listed down in the description box, just so look down there below the video. They are just listed down there. And is that everything?
I think so.
Hope so. If not,
All
maybe
right.
we'll think about it as we go along. Okay, so we're going to make ourselves shrink here, and we're going to put this little PowerPoint up. There we go. That looks halfway decent. I don't know what happened there. I think that must be...
You're seeing the laptop, aren't you?
Yep. I don't know.
That's fine. Go with it.
It's okay. It's okay. All right. So, I have to have some way to control this. So, okay, trait number 1 that we see in Esau is impulsivity. And that comes from, let me see.
There we go.
Okay, there. All right. The scripture, do you want to read that part? Do you want to share that part with them?
Okay.
The summary,
Yeah. Esau returns from the field exhausted and hungry.
Well, give the scripture reference.
Oh, okay. Genesis 25, verses 29 to 34. And he'd been out in the field, and he returned. He was hungry. He was exhausted. And Jacob was fixing some stew, but he would not give him any stew except unless he exchanged his birthright for the stew.
Right.
Esau didn't think about it. He just said, okay. And so he said he thought he was about to die for hunger. And so he said, might as well just go ahead and have stew now instead of waiting for birthright later. So what good was a birthright if he was going to die from hunger?
Yeah. So that's impulsive, very impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
And he was not thinking about the future. And it's something that Dr. Russell Barkley, let's see here, says, if I can get it to come up here, people with...
Oh, I'm sorry.
What'd you do? You just...
What did I do?
Okay, you touched the screen, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. You
I was
messed me
making
up.
sure because it looked like that part of this was.
It's
cut
okay.
off.
Everything's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
I will.
You take it
I won't
easy.
touch the screen anymore.
Oh boy.
Isn't this fun?
Yeah, it is actually. Okay.
All right.
All right. So,
So the quote.
okay. Dr. Russ Barkley says that people with ADHD often act on impulse, not because they don't care about the consequences, but because their brain is wired to seek immediate reward. And this is something that I have found in my own life and, well, with both of us. We've tried to do things and we get distracted. Esau was distracted by his hunger, but we get distracted or something, and then it's, the delayed gratification. That's the term I'm looking for. When we need to do something where we need to have them, something down the road, we blow it. We miss out on it because we're not real good with delayed gratification. So it has to be something more immediate for us. So anyway, so Esau's choice felt kind of extreme there, but you have to understand the ADHD brain. It's not about poor morals or weak willpower. It's about how the brain processes urgency and reward. In the moment, that birthright had no tangible weight to Esau. But the stew, now that's another story. It was hot, it was aromatic, and it was immediate. And remember, he thought he was dying because he hadn't had anything to eat for a while, and he was hungry. So, ADHD minds are driven by dopamine. It's a chemical fuel that flows best when the task or reward is immediate and stimulating. Delayed rewards, like inheritance, can't compete unless strategies are in place to bring the future into focus. So Esau wasn't really being reckless. He was overwhelmed by the now. So this decision, this impulsivity, became a defining moment in his life. And we'll see a little bit more about that later. But many with ADHD have their own stew stories. Choices that made sense in the moment but left long shadows. So maybe you want to think about, when have you made a snap decision that you later regretted? And what helps you slow down and consider your options before acting? You got an answer for that? You don't have to.
No, I don't.
I won't make you answer that. Okay, let's go back over here. Let's see. Wait a minute. Hang on just a second. I got to rearrange some things. There we go. Okay. I got windows on top of windows. Okay, so trait number 2. He was emotionally reactive with big feelings.
Scripture here is Genesis 27:30 through 38. After Jacob deceives Isaac and receives the blessing, Esau returns from the hunt only to discover the blessing is gone. His response is gut-wrenching. When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry. He begs, he pleads, and he asks over and over and over if there's anything left for him.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to advance the slide there.
So he comes to regret his decision.
Right. He was very disappointed this was later on, after the stew incident. Mm-hmm. And this is a couple of chapters later in the story. And Isaac was on his deathbed, and he had sent Esau out into the field. Esau was a hunter, and he sent him out to hunt for some wild game because he loved the wild game, and he loved how Esau prepared it. And so he sent him out to find some wild game and come back and prepare it for Isaac so that Isaac could have it before he passed on. And then he was going to give Esau his blessing. Now see, there's the birthright and then there's the blessing. So earlier was the birthright. That was the stew part of it. And now we're talking about the blessing. And so if but again, we're talking stuff. Well, okay, so what happened here was Rebecca overheard the conversation between Isaac and Esau. So she was being very conniving. Mm-hmm. And she told Jacob, she said, you need to do just exactly what I tell you, and you'll get the blessing instead of your brother. So Esau goes out to the field to do the hunting, and while he's gone, Rebecca and Isaac, and you can look up the scripture and read the passage and see exactly what happened. But it results in, Jacob disguised himself as Esau to trick his father into giving him the blessing. It worked because his father was mostly blind, and so he couldn't see who he was talking to. He did kind of suspect that something was going on. So then Esau comes back. And when he gets back,
realizes that the blessing is gone,
and he just was torn up about it.
he blows up.
And yes, he got very angry. So
What was the term we used a couple of sessions ago, when it's not just something that you dislike, but it's something that just overwhelms you and takes
you're talking about rejection sensitivity? We're
that-
gonna hit that up here in just a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so he was emotionally reactive, which is a big thing with people with ADHD.
Injustice, something. Anyway, okay.
Yeah. So we have a quote from Dr. Thomas Brown. ADHD is not a disorder of not knowing what to do. It's a disorder of not doing what you know, especially when emotions are high. So he didn't know. I don't know. I got lost there. Esau, I forgot who we were talking about. Esau was very emotional with this. So he didn't just feel disappointment. He experienced emotional devastation. And the scripture emphasizes his loud and bitter cry. So it captures the intensity of the moment. It's more than grief. It's emotional dysregulation. So many people with ADHD feel things deeply, whether it's joy or fear, frustration, sorrow. And when those feelings hit, they can take over. The thinking brain gets hijacked by the emotional brain, and that's kind of what happened here. Esau's inability to hold back his feelings or self-soothe is familiar to anyone who's ever been told they're too sensitive or overreacting. His response isn't wrong, it's human, but it also shows how overwhelming unregulated emotions can be, especially when layered on top of betrayal or injustice. So let's see. Okay, on into the next trait. We're running out of time, so let's keep going here.
Okay.
Trait
3
Okay, go ahead.
is a low tolerance for frustration. And this is where we get into rejection sensitivity. Your scripture is Genesis 27:41 through 46. After Esau realizes his blessing is gone, grief turns to rage. Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob." Rebekah overheard this and urges Jacob to flee.
Okay, so now we're talking about rejection sensitivity dysphoria. It wasn't just overwhelming emotions. It was to the point that he flew into a rage. And so it's really intense. And William Dodson is the one that actually coined the term rejection sensitivity dysphoria, or RSD. And he says it's an intense, overwhelming reaction to perceived or actual rejection, often experienced by people with ADHD. And I'm going to do this right here. So anyway, it feels better if I can actually talk to you this way. So Esau doesn't just feel hurt in this situation. He feels humiliated, betrayed, and rejected. And of course he was betrayed by his mother and his brother. But rejection sensitivity dysphoria can happen whether it's a real rejection or perceived rejection. Okay. So his response was swift, it was extreme, it was not just sorrow, but he had plans for revenge. And so the shift from heartbreak to hostility is a hallmark of rejection sensitivity. And a lot of people, many people with ADHD experience RSD, which is interesting because I've experienced it many times throughout my life. Mark, not so much. Mm-hmm. But I think it is more common with women than it is with men, although men can experience it too. And I've coached some people that have dealt with it. So, but emotional pain from criticism, from exclusion or failure feels unbearable. So what looks like an overreaction on the outside often comes from a deep sense of internalized unworthiness or shame. In Esau's case, the blessing wasn't just a family tradition, it was part of his identity. When it was taken, so was his sense of place and purpose. And he was begging his father, isn't there just a little crumb left for me? Just some tiny little blessing left for me. And Esau didn't have any more blessing to give to him. I don't really understand all the blessing stuff in the Bible, but it was a really big deal. And so he was very, very upset about it. So the pain wasn't just about losing something, it was about losing himself. So, again, for some reflection, where do you feel most vulnerable to rejection or criticism? And what helps you reclaim your sense of self when it feels shaken? Yeah. Let's go on to trait number 4, since we're getting, let's see, there we go.
Trait number 4, poor long-term planning. Or you could also say it's a now versus not now thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Scripture is Genesis 25:29-34. Esau returns from the field, ravenous. Jacob, cooking stew, offers him some, but only in exchange for his birthright. Esau answers, "Look, I'm about to die. What good is the birthright to me?" He swears an oath and makes the trade, prioritizing immediate hunger over future inheritance.
So this is the same passage we were looking at earlier. Mm-hmm. So it's not just impulsivity, but it's this idea of poor long-term planning. Dr. Ned Hallowell, who has ADHD himself, says that people with ADHD have an... sorry. People with ADHD have a unique perspective of time. We're either in the now or the not now. So, again, Esau's decision wasn't foolish, it was urgent. And the urgent often wins out, no matter whether it's important or not. If you're familiar with what's called Eisenhower's matrix, where you have a section that's important, it's 4 boxes, and 2 of them are important and 2 of them are urgent, and let's see, 2 are important, 2 are not important, and then there's the urgent and forget what the other one is. Anyway, but unless something falls in the urgent category, and a distraction can fall into the urgent category, just a simple, something that pops up and grabs your attention when you have ADHD. So, and it's not something that you can really control. It happens, and there are ways, there are techniques and things that we talk about in coaching that you can help to overcome that, but it's not foolproof. I guess that's the way I want to put it. So Esau's decision wasn't foolish, but it was urgent. He thought he was dying. He was so hungry. So ADHD time perception does not flow in a straight line. The future becomes abstract while the present screams for attention. So the birthright was a concept, while the stew was a reality. The disconnect between knowing and doing is a common ADHD struggle. The knowledge that something is important doesn't always translate to action, especially when the reward feels far away. So many of us with ADHD have to learn how to bridge that gap between the short-term need and the long-term value. So Esau's story shows what happens when there's no buffer between impulse and action, or no pause to connect with the future self. So that's why you can end up down the road a ways and realize that you made a bad decision. So, impulsive or not, it was a bad decision. So, okay. I forgot to change it back to us. Oh well.
Okay.
Okay, so
Number 5. Hyperfocus on the hunt. Genesis 25:27. Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country. He's not just an outdoorsman, he's excellent at what he does. He's described with pride and distinction, especially by his father Isaac, who loved the taste of wild game.
okay, so again, Dr. William Dodson says hyperfocus is not a lack of attention. It's the overflow of attention onto something that stimulates the ADHD brain. So, hyperfocus, yeah.
I don't do that.
Oh, yeah, you do. We've been noticing that lately. I hyperfocus. Our daughter hyperfocuses. That was one of the things, in fact, that made me think that she did not have ADHD. And it wasn't until I began to learn about my own ADHD and hyperfocus that I realized, whoa, wait a minute, that's what she was doing when she was little. And I told that school psychologist, no, I didn't think she had ADHD because she could focus on anything she wanted to. Yeah, that's hyperfocus. When you can focus on things that are important to you, things that are urgent.
And not much will distract you from that.
That's right. And if you do get distracted, look out. Your RSD might kick in.
just like watching the game last night.
Yeah, he was watching the game.
You were accusing me of hyperfocus.
Yep, he was hyper-focused on the game. I was trying to prepare this and, get us ready for tonight, and he was hyper-focused on the game. It was an exciting game. Yeah, I'll give it that.
I was still reading some of the things that you had, but...
Well, yeah, but...
I still had my eye on the game.
And that's kind of how hyperfocus works. It can be one of the superpowers of ADHD when it aligns with interest, excitement, or challenge. But Esau didn't just hunt, he thrived in it. He became skillful at it. And that level of mastery suggests time, energy, and total engagement. So that's what happens when the ADHD brain finds its spark. Focus sharpens, time disappears, and Esau felt more alive and capable in the field than anywhere else. The problem comes when that focus state doesn't transfer to areas with less stimulation, like managing relationships, planning ahead, or resisting temptation. It's not that Esau was inattentive, it's that his attention had a favorite channel. Did you have a favorite channel last night?
No.
So, is there anything that you naturally hyper-focus on? So, how can you possibly build more of that into your life while still tending to what matters outside of it? Okay. Last trait. Let's see. Let me go back over here to the PowerPoint. And let's
Number
move
6.
it just a minute. There we go.
Outdoorsy, or sensory seeking. The scripture references Genesis 27:5-16. And while Esau is away hunting, Rebekah and Jacob put a plan into motion to deceive Isaac. To imitate Esau, Jacob must wear his clothes and even place goat skins on his arms and neck. The deception works because Esau's scent and touch are distinctive. Isaac says, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau."
Okay. Let's see. So, Dr. Ari Tuckman is another expert in ADHD. He's got several books. All of these have written several books. And he says that ADHD brains crave stimulation. Movement, novelty, texture, variety. Sensory input helps regulate focus and emotion. So, let me see, find out where I'm at here. I got so many windows that I have to look at here, and anyway, it's a challenge. So, Esau's identity is tied to his sensory presence. He's a man of the wild, hairy, earthy, deeply physical. And Jacob has to feel and smell like Esau in order to fool Isaac. So this paints a picture of someone who's deeply grounded in the physical world. Many people with ADHD are naturally drawn to high stimulation environments. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be out in nature, but just a high stimulation environment. You think about people who are so attracted to video games these days and stuff like that. Many of them have ADHD because it's a highly stimulating environment. Movement, nature, physical activity, even tactile feedback can be calming and centering. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
It can be. It's kind of weird how that works. But Esau's love for the outdoors likely wasn't just a hobby. It was necessary for his nervous system to feel regulated. So he thrived in the sensory-rich world of the hunt, the field, and the earth. Put him in a tent with politics and expectations, that's Jacob's world, not his. So, what environments help you feel the most calm, focused, or alive? And how can you honor your sensory needs in everyday life? There's a big movement these days towards like sensory rooms and stuff. It's not just ADHD. It's anybody with any kind of neurodivergent issue, whatever, however I want to put that. Any type of neurodivergent. It can be autism. Autism and ADHD are the two biggest ones, really. And so it can be any of that. And people are, they're creating these environments so that people can go and either calm down if they need to, or, they have, like, a lot of times they'll have different kinds of things, tactile things, that people can kind of play with or whatever.
Fidget.
Fidget
type stuff, yeah.
I have some fidget rings that I have given out to some of my clients that actually are kind of spiky, and it makes it something that you can, it's sensory. It's a tactile sensation. You can play with that ring and it feels, I don't know, it just stimulates the dopamine region, the dopamine receptors in the brain so that you get more dopamine. So anyway, does anybody have any questions? If so, put them down in the chat, or if you're watching after this live, then, and it looks like we're back to a normal stream, so that was just a little glitch that we had there earlier. But post it in the comments down below. You know, that's something else that YouTube looks at, is how many comments you get. And the more comments we get, the more YouTube's going to push it out to other people. So we're glad you joined us tonight. We're happy to have you here. Hope you'll join us again next week. Again, I don't know.
Yeah, who are we going to talk about next week?
I don't know, but you're shaking things. I don't know who we're going to talk about next week. We need to take a look at the list again. We've got a list.
We'll let you know.
And so, yeah, keep watching. And I'm trying to do better at getting things out a little bit earlier and getting notifications out and stuff. So we'll keep working on that, and we'll get there eventually. Just like our studio, you notice things are a little different tonight, just a little bit. So we did manage to make it back into the studio, and like Mark said earlier, we're not outside tonight. We're not battling the flies and the wasps and the heat out there, but we are here in our studio, and we've got a lot of work yet to do. We're shopping for some things, and you'll see some more changes as time goes on. And I don't know, if we get lucky and get everything all together, maybe you'll see a major change all at once. We'll see. So anyway, with that, I guess make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
Like and subscribe.
And share it with other people that you think might be interested, that might like to know about the kinds of things that ADHD presents, the kinds of things that it's like the different traits. If they want to know more about it, you know, share it. And that helps us, and it helps us to help you. So, okay, with that, I think we're going to say goodnight and maybe go get something to eat. I'm hungry.